I don't know what just happened there. Did you like the remix? That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. You're like a DJ.
Anyway, I didn't do that. That was a horrendous fuck up. Anyway, the horror deconstruction, you can find us at horrordeconstruction.tumblr.com as well as facebook.com/the horror deconstruction with your hosts Pee-wee and
Bjork.
And today's film is
Antichrist.
Antichrist is a comedy film. No. Antichrist is a 2009 film written and directed by Lars von Trier, starring Willem Dafoe and Charlotte Gainsbourg. It follows horror film conventions and tells the blah 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 yakety schmackety. Does it? I thought it was like It sounds like
Seinfeld, like taking a shit.
No, it sounds like that. He goes, "Why do I have to wipe my ass? I love these shit crisps.
Why do I have to pump blood out of my penis?
What is that fucking fox talking to me?
For genitals.
There's a fox talking to me. That does not make any sense." Anyway, so Antichrist is a. What the fuck is Antichrist? I like this movie a lot.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
Oh yeah,
this is like my new favorite movie.
Oh, me too. Listen, I'm a big fruit when it comes to movies, and when they make, I've never seen a Lars von Trier movie. I always hear about it. I've heard about Antichrist. Obviously, when it came out in 2009, they were making a big buzz about it, and obviously, because I'm such a jackass, I thought from the title of the film that it was about the Antichrist. But
yeah, I did too.
And the poster is a very iconic image of Willem Dafoe humping a lady with a tree and white arms coming out of the stumps of this tree in a black background. It's really cool, and the word Antichrist is written in crayon.
Basically, the last scene almost.
Yeah, it's very high art. Anyway, film deals with a couple played by Willem Dafoe and Charlotte Gainsbourg. I don't believe they give their names in the film, right?
They don't.
And they're busy porking, and very graphically, I might say. And while this happens, their son falls out of an open window in the house, and then it leads to their it's a 4-act play with I guess it does feel like a play at times. But I gotta say, when I first saw the opening of the film, I was like, "Wow, this is a classy film. Look how beautifully shot it is." And as soon as the third
shows a nice cock.
as soon as the third frame comes up of a juicy cock entering a vagina with testicles, I was like, it really threw me off. I was like, "Wow, why is that in the film?" Then you realize, as a person who watches films, like, why would they take that out of a film if it's realistic? You know what I mean? I don't believe it was Willem Dafoe's penis going into Charlotte Gainsbourg. Although I believe it might be Charlotte Gainsbourg. She was doing some shit in this movie.
She's crazy.
She's nutty. She's attractive in the sex scene, but looks like a goddamn monster in the rest of the film.
Yeah, it's weird. I can't explain. She's like ugly, but in a hot way.
Wait, this film, I think, because she's crazy and we're attracted to crazy women.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. Like halfway through, I'm watching it because I've never seen it until recently. My friend's been obsessively talking about it for like a month, and he
suck your cock?
Like, I'm telling him, yeah, he's sucking my cock, and I'm telling him, like, yeah, keep sucking down to the balls, right? And no, I'm telling him, like, wow, this is like the kind of girl I would want to like date because she's like so bizarre. Even though it's like a sad situation, like the fact that she's so weird, but then he's like, "Well, you're not gonna be saying that pretty soon," and I'm like, "Why? Like, what do you mean?"
This movie is a boner killer. Oh boy, I haven't grabbed my crotch in the wrong way watching a film in a long time.
It like went into my body.
I know the last time I grabbed my crotch was I was watching Bad News Bears, but this was like the wrong way. This is horrendous. But
film got me grabbing my crotch.
It's a really good film. But it's very art house, and like the Wikipedia says, it's using horror conventions to tell its story. And I believe they show it was in 2009 in Cannes, and it got a lot of heat for being shown over there. They thought it was really good, but there was a very graphic ending, and I always heard about mutilation and shit like that, and I was like, okay, whatever. Ugh. I didn't think it was gonna be as bad as it when I actually saw it.
I saw it, and oh my god!
I actually watched it through my fingers. That's how horrendous it was. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I've had to cover my eyes.
When I saw what it's about to do, I put up my hand, but I still saw it through my fingers. And then my friend rewound it, and I saw it again, even though I was trying not to.
And this film, basically, when they showed it in Cannes, it got a big deal out of it. You know, Lars von Trier. I guess this was more. I think von Trier has been basically a critic darling for a while because he does very unconventional films, and this you can totally see it the way the film is lensed and the way it's and
he wrote it too.
That's really good. And they actually showed the film in Compton like Los Angeles Compton, and they renamed it to "This Bitches Be Crazy" because it's a movie about a crazy person. Indeed. What works with this film with you? Because basically, it's a standard setup. Give this basic standard setup of the film besides what we just said.
Well, the basic plot is, it starts right off from the very beginning. It's just a like montage of like artsy scenes of them having sex and the kid jumping out the window accidentally. Like, he's like a little 2-year-old. He climbed out of his crib or whatever.
Right.
And then, then it's basically now it's like the grieving process, and that's how the
Willem Dafoe looks like Willem Dafoe when he's crying looks like the skinny guy from Laurel and Hardy. When the fat guy gets at him.
Is that Laurel? That's Laurel, right?
I think it's Laurel. Oliver Hardy's a fat guy, I think.
But it's the whole thing is the stages of grief. It's chapter 1 is grief,
right?
And that's all just like the wife's, and basically like she goes into a coma almost for like a month or something, and like she's just lost her mind and is on all these drugs in a hospital, and she's on all these like drugs and stuff. And so this guy, the husband, is a therapist,
right?
And what am I saying?
He decides to put her on treatment because he decides that
all the meds that are her patient, basically
all the meds that she's on are basically killing her personality to him.
And so he gets this great idea. What's the worst, scariest place for you? Okay, let's go there.
Yeah, right. He's trying to break down psychologically what's wrong with her, because the way that she deals with things is her release is through sex, and it's not. I mean, it's graphic sex, but it's not penetration. Like the first. Why do you think that he put that penetrating shot in the beginning? Was it more of like a holy shit for like the audience who's not used to that to see that?
I think so. I kind of took it as like, okay, this is the kind of movie this is going to be, like a weird.
Yeah, it was just straight up shock. That part was like, I think it's shocking more for people that are so.
And I don't know why it's shocking.
I know it's weird because it's so natural.
In a movie, it's shocking.
Because I'm still picking out vaginal hairs on my teeth, and I was still shocked by that movie. It was disturbing. I was like,
save them. You should make a bristle comb out of it.
My Catholic tendencies to go after little boys that offended me.
But they don't have pubes, so it's not fun.
Oh yes, that's right. Whoops. Anyway, I'm offended to be straight. I gotta return my what do they call it? I was gonna say PETA card. I remember what the fuck are those guys? I forget. NAMBLA card. They're all fucking people.
Anyway.
So, Willem Dafoe is trying to break down what's wrong with his wife, and she's nuttier than a fruitcake. If I could say that.
It's very realistic. It's very realistic, though. Like, this is like movie scary because it's like this shit could happen to anyone, Like,
right? Yeah, really that sense of loss, and just it's more how a family deals with the horror of losing somebody. And
he's like a psychologist, and it's weird because he's almost like too okay with it,
he seems too passive, because obviously I think he gets over his grieving process quicker than she does. Because
or he's trying to be strong for her, maybe.
And it's smart because she tells him that you were never interested in me and Nick, who was the son. And she says that he wasn't interested in them until the son died, and he could treat her like a patient. So maybe it's that kind of, maybe that's the way he is pushing aside his grief.
It does kind of give the feeling that maybe he's a little creepy, but then you realize, oh no, he's not. She is.
Yeah, she's really fucking lunatic.
Really fucking creepy.
And at the beginning, you kind of understand it because she's still grieving. After a month, I still understand people still be grieving after a fucking month, whatever.
I think you'd be grieving for a long time, but she's getting like worse and worse as opposed to better and better.
Yeah, she's becoming more catatonic and sleeping in the day and just crying, having these fits of rage, and basically trying to date rape him all the time. And and
then there's like a weird scene, so they go to the woods, which is like her place that scares her now, although before this happened it didn't scare her.
Right.
And you find out that she did like a thesis on the evil of women, like witchcraft and all that kind of stuff. And
what women were put through because of their perceived evilness.
Right. And so they go and they stay in this.
Apparently, she didn't finish her thesis because that's when the kid died. Go ahead.
They stay in this random cabin. It's not a random cabin. It's a cabin.
No, it's their home. It's their home. Their lake home, or not lake home, but
and it's really like in the middle of nowhere in the woods, which is always good for a horror movie,
Right, because all the isolation and the weirdness of it. There's some weird shit that happens in this movie, man. Really weird. There's like sequences where she's telling him basically why is she so afraid of the place. Besides, they don't really divulge all that shit until towards the middle half of the film. But there's a sequence where she's hearing a child crying, and she's thinking it's her baby, her son's, and she's running around looking for him, and she finds him, and the crying is still going on. And to me, that was like, ooh, that's spooky shit right there. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it leads you to think maybe this is a haunted. The whole land is haunted, or maybe she's just nuts.
I never got haunted. I got more just like this is a woman that's nuts, and like this incident has released the nuts.
I would say that, but the fact that there are these creatures that keep appearing in the film symbolically.
Oh yeah,
They
the
actually
deer and the fox.
they physically
and the bird.
show up, and Willem Dafoe actually sees them. So it's not just like there's something going on with that land. It's like there's a couple of fucking Native Americans hidden underneath that shit or something.
Yeah,
But,
and then I was thinking, okay, so she's the Antichrist. It could almost be like subtly saying she is the Antichrist, but I don't really think. I think they're more just like playing with the idea of that than actually like saying this is the Antichrist. Yeah.
I think it's
But-
probably a bold statement that women are the Antichrist, because that's what I'm not saying
fuck,
that.
Fuck bitches, right, yo?
Yo, nigga, let's go listen to our rap albums, motherfuckers. Yeah. So, because you can even see that on
Nutella.
the
Everybody loves Nutella.
the poster of the film. Antichrist is the T is turned into the shape of the lettering for women. You know, with the circle on the top, which is supposed to represent a mirror or something like that. Did you notice that, or no?
No, actually, what do you mean?
You know how there's that? I forgot what that.
Oh yeah,
old sign,
the woman symbol. Yeah.
the female symbol.
Yeah.
So I think it's more about women's. Maybe Von Trier hates women.
Well, at Dancer in the Dark,
Oh, that too, yeah.
that guy's a sick fuck.
But it's a good sick fuck.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
And well, there's a lot of weird sequences. There's supposed to, the sequence where it's supposed to be really beautiful, where Willem Dafoe is slowly approaching a deer in the woods, and then when he takes a closer look, there's a fetus hanging out of the vagina of the deer,
Hopping away and shit.
and it's reminding him of the baby that died. And then there's another sequence where the wife is in the woods and she sees a chick, is a chick, right? A baby chick of some bird.
It's like
Falls
getting
out of
by
the tree.
ants.
Falls out of the tree, gets covered in fire ants or whatever kind of ants it is, and then gets swept up and eaten by another bird.
There's just a lot of like beautiful nature shots in this, and
But
just
it's
like
horrifying, beautiful nature.
yeah, and people like just walking in slow motion through like fog and shit. Like it's really artsy. It's good.
It really is. Almost looks like ads for a magazine. You know, like in motion.
I don't think there's not a single moment, not even a second of this movie that doesn't look beautiful.
Yeah, everything is shot fucking amazing. We got to give it to Anthony Dodd Mantle or what? How do you say his name?
Anthony Dodd Mantle.
Oh, I thought there was the L before the T, and I was like, "There's no fucking way that name sounds
Mantle.
Manlit."
No, Mantle.
But yeah, that guy. I hope that guy won an award for this shit, because that guy's a motherfucker. Anyway,
Yeah.
everything looks fucking gorgeous in this film, and it is art house, and I love weird art house films. I'm gonna actually have to go and look at all this guy's movies. I did see parts of Melancholia, with the movie about the people dealing with a meteor hitting the Earth.
Is all his stuff like depressing, pretty much?
Well, Melancholia sure as fuck was, and you said Dancing in the Dark was pretty depressing.
Dancer in the Dark is one of the
Melancholia
saddest
has an
movies I've ever
amazing
seen.
Melancholia has an amazing opening and ending. I just didn't want to bother with the middle, but I guess I have to. But it basically starts out the same way, because his title cards are basically graphics on a wall. Here it's done with chalk, right, on a wall, on a blackboard kind of thing.
Yes.
He did that as well with Melancholia. So I guess I guess that's his thing. You know, it's his art thing.
Right.
But it's fucking good, man. And the more and more you see the unraveling of this woman, like, it literally becomes.
And she's like a fucking sex maniac too. Like she's like crying one second, then she's like having sex with him the next second. Like
My
she's
type
like
of woman.
seriously fucked up.
And she's really nutty. But I actually think she gets a lot sexier when she goes crazy, and maybe that's my problem.
Yeah, no, there's a scene where she's starting to go crazy with the slapping scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like actually like, oh my god,
These
like, this is,
actors
like,
really got
turning me
into
on.
it
And then all of a
because-
sudden it's just like, oh, that's like the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Because she's basically actually masturbating on film and stuff. This is more, I guess this is a film that they would, feel much more.
You see
comfortable
Willem
doing.
Dafoe's ass like at least 10 times, like.
And his fake schlong, about a couple more. They gave him a good fake schlong, right? A big fake robot schlong in the movie. I hope it was fake.
And
robot.
too realistic of a fake vagina. Oh my god.
Oh, but
it's like terrible.
there's a
it's the
big. What
worst
do you
thing I've
think?
ever seen.
What do you think? Because she's writing, her thesis was called Gynocyde, right?
Yeah, I guess
it's
is
based
that
on
what that was called? The I
gynoset,
thought
right?
it said it on that picture of the witches. Yeah,
Right, because she kept putting scraps into the book, and then
you
she
see the
goes, well,
fox and the crow and the deer.
and Defoe goes up to this what the hell do you call those things?
What tree?
He goes up to the room at the top. The
Oh,
fucking
attic,
good
attic.
Lord Almighty, I'm stupid. He goes to the attic and he sees all the artwork everywhere, and apparently she went bonkers. That she actually took it as fact that women are evil. For some
Hmm.
reason, something happened to her. It might be postpartum depression for all we know after having a child. You know what I mean? Going nuts. But
Yeah,
everything about her being a mother, stuff like that, just led to this. And it's
but
there's
then there's like this big revelation right around this time now that you find out like because the movie really just keeps going darker and darker. Like you think, oh, it can't get much worse than a little kid dying, but it just doesn't. Then you find out that
oh
like the
yeah,
kid had deformities in his feet during the
yeah, because
autopsy.
the
Uh,
deformities of his feet, or he had deformities because she decided to write this thesis while, and she does usually what a lot of people do in relationships. They assume something that the other person doesn't want, which basically she said, "Why didn't you come out to, why didn't you come out to the woods with us while I was writing the thesis?" And he was like, "Well, you asked me to. Well, that's not what I wanted." And you're like, "Holy fuck!" You like, it just reminds you like, Jesus Christ. All right, I get it. Some tells me Von Trier went through this shit, like just dealing with somebody that pulled that crap on him, that psychic crap,
that's
and
like every woman, and no offense, Liz, but
oh
it's
my
true. You
god,
expect us to read your minds or something. It doesn't work.
and also some gay men, so don't worry about it. It's like, I know
Okay,
you know who else does that?
and you
Psychic,
gotta. I do it too. I have to be
and
honest.
also literal psychics, they do that too. They're like, why
Yeah,
couldn't
they
you read
do.
my mind like
They
I
do.
read
The woman from
yours?
Poltergeist, that little woman,
Zelda,
she
she
did
did it,
that. What a
but
bitch she was.
apparently
I'm glad
she.
she died in real life.
That's fucked up. Now she's on the other side with Carol Ann. Carol Ann died too. The real Carol Ann died. So,
That's sad.
anyway, that's because you couldn't get your hands on her. So what happens is, while she was out there, she was putting on the shoes incorrectly on the kid, and that was deforming his feet because I guess he was still still growing up.
At first,
And
you think it because he
yeah, I thought he
finds
was
one
the
picture, and you think, oh, okay, maybe it was a one-time thing, and then he finds like 8 pictures of
because
the same thing.
they show the X-ray. What happens is at the beginning of the film, you see after she gets let out of the hospital, Defoe gets a letter and he doesn't read it. He reads it halfway in, and it was basically the toxicology reports, or not toxicology reports, but whatever reports were after the kid was autopsied, and his feet were deformed. And they showed an X-ray, and it looked like, this is where I got like thrown off for a second, because the shape of his feet were like goat legs, and I thought, oh, maybe the kid was the Antichrist, and the kid died, and he was supposed to live to become the Antichrist. That's what I thought for a second there. But
Yeah,
apparently the mother was deforming his feet by putting these shoes on him, and I think it's just that she was like, oh, she threw it off like, oh no, this is just a one-time thing where I wasn't thinking correctly. But apparently that's when it starts showing more and more that she's fucking crazy.
and it never gets into it so much, so it's
Right.
even creepier. Because it's not like in The Sixth Sense where you find out that the woman's like poisoning her kids. That scene with the vomiting ghost
Right.
girl.
Right.
This is just like it kind of touches. Wow, she is like actually fucked up, and then all of a sudden it's just so extreme out of nowhere, and like, oh my god.
So let's go into the big mutilation sequence.
Should we actually give it away? I almost kind
Okay,
of
maybe
don't
not.
want to. I mean,
There's
we
a-
could say like it's very nasty, but do
There
we
is a
actually want to say what happens?
there's a horrendous graphic sequence in the film. Horrendous. Don't let
Two of
anybody.
them. Two of them.
Yeah, don't let anybody spoil it for you. I mean, we're spoiling it in a way that there's mutilation, but we're not.
I already
exactly
knew
saying-
going into it something
Me
horrendous
too.
was going to happen, but I still took me by shock.
Yeah, it was a very shocking scene, and I'm very much a guy who's seen a lot of stuff in film, and this one, the way it was handled and shot, was very jarring. It's very
Yeah, this is
disgusting.
much worse than any of those French torture movies.
Yeah,
that made me watch.
it felt more realistic in this film than it has in any other film that I've seen dealing with this kind of torture. It was fucking bad. It was gross.
Oh my god.
I had to look away. I was like, oh, and I had to grab my balls because I was like, oh my god. And
I was seriously like holding my dick the whole rest of the movie though. Like you don't understand. Oh my
Yeah.
god, and the vagina, like oh Jesus.
it was bad.
It was terrible. It was terrible. It's the worst thing I've
really
ever
is bad.
seen. I swear to God.
You have to watch it. It's one of those things where you can't turn away because it's so fucking terrible. But
Oh my god.
for a film like this, and it has a strange ending. I mean, I think you can follow the film all the way up to the last frame. I think the last frame of the film is a little bit too, you know what I mean? Symbolic
Yeah.
of something. But
there's a
other
lot
than
of
that,
symbolism in this movie. Actually,
there's a lot of symbolism, but I think a general person can watch this film and get it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's a basic ABC setup story with a lot of symbolism thrown in, and you can take your time and rifle through what means what to you. And I think it works. It won't leave you confused as to what's happening. And I think that's what makes this film really work. Is just the visuals. The acting is really good. The acting, I think the dialogue is said really stiltedly. The acting, Dafoe's
the girl in particular,
yeah, she's really good.
Like
Charlotte Gainsborough is fucking great. To turn on a dime like that, the way she acts. But Dafoe is good. He's more a reserved character, and he plays it well. But obviously, he's when he gets in trouble and in pain, you see it. And boy, does that motherfucker go through some pain in this movie. Anyway. Yeah, I don't think there's much more we can say about the film, but I think it's a really fucking
you
good
have
movie.
to see it. You have to see it. It's so good.
It's a really good movie.
And don't even worry about the there is like some violence in it, and it's terrible. But like even without that, if you're not into violence, like it's still like such a fucking good movie. Like,
it's a very good drama, even without the crazy violence in it.
And it's amazing acting, and the whole thing is just like beautiful to look at. Like, oh god.
Oh god.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's like probably like one of my it's definitely the best movie I've seen like in a year.
Yeah, it really is a fucking good movie. It makes me want to see a lot of Von Trier's work. So I mean, that says enough. So with that, my rating for the film, I'm not gonna go for the obvious thing. I'm gonna go for 8 out of 10 baritone talking foxes in the forest.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to give away the main thing that I would obviously do, but I'm going to give this 10 out of 10 beating a bird over and over, and it just keeps fucking cawing away.
That fucking bird, man.
I wanted to kill that bird so bad.
It's like, shut the fuck up.
It's just like...
He should say, call, motherfucker. So,
what's the next movie, yeah?
The next film is going to be Triangle.
Ugh.
Yes, a film about triangles. Not the good triangles, a bad triangle.
Ugh.
So, with that, what's the final word?
Rhombus.
Rhombus, you say?
Rhombus.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. I fucked up bad. Alright, see you later, everybody.
Bye.